Greetings, Cyclopeans. Welcome to the Sci Clops podcast 14, brought to you by H.P. Lovecraft's The Cats of Ulthar. And I hope I'm pronouncing that right, by the way, Ulthar. My name is Dan.
And I'm Tom.
And here we are, ready to start right into comic books today.
I got a little bit Marvel heavy this week. I have two from Marvel, one from DC, and one from Dark Horse. I'll start off with The Amazing Spider-Man 22. Right now they're in the middle of the event for Spider-Man they're calling the Clone Conspiracy. And any longtime fan of Spider-Man immediately has intense stomach pains upon hearing the word clone. Because when they originally did the clone storyline way back when, it was the most convoluted, nonsensical, ridiculous thing ever. Basically, long story short, Peter Parker discovered that a villain, the Jackal, had taken his DNA and made several clones of him, including Ben Reilly and Kane, who eventually went on to become heroes. And then they variously died off or were just kind of written out by other people because everyone wanted to forget the clone conspiracy because it was awful. But this one sees the resurgence of the Jackal, only there's a twist. It's not the same guy it was before. And I read a little bit of the original clone stuff with Spider-Man, but I couldn't get through the entire thing because it was just so dumb.
It's pretty bad if you can't finish it.
It just felt like they wanted a big, shocky twist for the sake of a big, shocky twist. But this one, they're handling it a lot better. They're bringing in a lot of fun side characters that are kind of in the Spider family, like the new Spider-Gwen that they brought in. Kane even makes a reappearance, and it's definitely interesting because they go to a place with it you wouldn't expect, and I like that. It caught me by surprise when they did the big reveal of who the Jackal is, and that's something I didn't expect. And in general, ever since Spider-Man, I started reading Spider-Man pre-Secret Wars, and it's been one of the better written and more well-handled of Marvel's series, I think, for a long time, and it's with good reason. Spider-Man is one of their biggest, most recognizable characters. But like I said, so far this version of the clone storyline has actually been very interesting, and I think we're still got a ways to go on it. But I'm definitely along for the ride on this one. The other Marvel title is Spider-Man Adjacent. It's Venom. And the new character who's taken over the symbiote is definitely a flip from Flash. Flash was the classic white meat babyface hero who's, gonna run in there and save everyone because it's what he does. Yep. That's good. You need characters like that every now and again. But this guy is the complete opposite. He's just out for himself, doesn't care about anybody. He wants to use the Venom symbiote to further his own goals, doesn't care that it wants to be a hero and save people. And he's not about murdering anybody who finds out he has the symbiote bonded with him. But he's definitely, obviously, a bad guy. But he's interesting because Venom's like, what, you think you're just going to make yourself the criminal the underboss of New York City? And he goes, I don't want to be the boss. The boss is the public face, the one that everyone goes after. I'm going to stick to the shadows and build a nice little life for myself. So it's interesting that he doesn't just want the mad power grab. He's actually trying to, as hard as he can, to stay under the radar as Venom, which is a really big contrast to several of the other villains who've become Venom in the past, who go big, flashy, fights with Spider-Man raging through New York City kind of deal. So it's definitely an interesting take on Venom. I'm still kind of bummed that Flash isn't in the suit anymore, but it's interesting enough to keep me going. And on the DC side of things, the big first event kicked off. It was Justice League versus Suicide Squad.
Here we go.
And they've kind of foreshadowed this a little bit in earlier titles. Batman had some run-ins with Amanda Waller in his own solo series, and it looks like it's all coming to a head. And you gotta kind of wonder, how has the Justice League really not ever done anything about the Suicide Squad before? You gotta figure Batman at least would have done some detective work and uncovered this, and here we go. Batman discovers that Amanda Waller is using groups of supervillains that everybody from the Justice League has caught, stuck bombs in their heads, and forced them to run covert ops missions. And Flash has a really great line. He goes, I wonder how many times we thought we were just stopping, two of them from a random attack when really it was Waller just, sending them on some death mission that we had no idea was going on. And it is kind of an interesting thing to think about, because how many times do you think, and whenever you see a villain team up, is it really just two villains teaming up, or is it because they're capturing part of the Suicide Squad. So the first issue is mostly just the setup. It's getting Batman giving all the information to the League and them deciding what to do about it, and then we see the squad on a mission, and at the end of it, the two teams end up facing off. So it looks like they're kicking it off quick. It's a 6-issue series. I figured at least 2 or 3 of the issues would be kind of build-up, but the first one ends with a big face-off between both sides right off the gate.
Cool, so you're right into a big battle straight off the top, issue 1.
Yeah, they're not pulling any punches, but I think it's also a weekly series too. So it's going to be they're trying to go through it.
It's going to be expensive.
It's going to go no, it's the same price as a regular comic, but it's just
I know, but it's just got a lot more now.
Yeah, it's just 1 through 6 really quick, back to back, bam.
Great.
So
is it only a 6 issue?
Yeah, 6 issues.
Oh, okay, I missed that.
Yeah, so it's going to be bam, 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 right out quick. 6 issues,
wow.
1 every week.
I thought they were going to go on for a while with this one because they got the movie coming up, don't they?
Justice League is a while away. It's Wonder Woman's November. No, Wonder Woman's I think Justice League is November. I think Wonder Woman's June or July.
Right.
So
I would have thought they would have gone.
They could have stretched it out a little while,
yeah.
But we'll see where they're going with it. And the last one I got, comics wise, is the last part of the Aliens Life or Death part of the miniseries. Cool. And I've really enjoyed the second kind of thing they've done with it. Their first one was Fire and Stone, and that one was really confusing because they released all 4 chapters like staggered week by week, and they all took place in different timelines, and you were like, what is going on? But no, this one, it's really fun because they've really managed to blend the elements that Prometheus introduced into the franchise for Alien with classic Alien. Mm. And they've done it in a way that doesn't just feel like, hey, Prometheus happened, we should probably use it. It actually feels like it's part of the whole universe. The Marines are going in to try to rescue somebody stuck in the alien hive, which is like, no. I'm sorry. Yeah, there's one person in the alien hive who, by the way, they know has a queen embryo in her.
Yeah.
It's like, just, no. Get in the ship and go.
Nuke it from orbit.
Get in the ship.
The only way to be sure.
Nuke it from orbit. I'm sorry your friend's going to die, but it's either her or everyone else. So
I think we just solved the rest of the whole series.
Just blow up every planet you find with aliens on it.
Nuke it from orbit.
Yeah. But there's people nuke it.
Yep.
But that really, aside from that dumb decision that the Marines make to go save one person, it's still pretty good. The issue ends on a nice little twist that sets up the final chapter of this arc, which is going to be Aliens versus Predator: Life and Death. So overall, I've enjoyed this run with the aliens. Dumb Marine decisions aside.
Well, it's just a quick note on this is if you really think about the Aliens movies and the whole thing in general, it's all based on dumb decisions made by people, usually with greed in the background, sending these guys into these situations who make dumb decisions. Although you
didn't get that so much in Alien or Aliens.
Well, in Alien, they made a huge dumb decision because they brought him in and
that was the robot who let him in.
Well, they broke protocol.
But Ripley did not.
No,
Ripley was like, screw that, we're not letting him in this ship.
But it was dumb decision by the robot who almost got himself killed.
But he was programmed to do it, so he had no choice.
That's the thing.
So really, in Alien, you get an out.
Yeah, there's greed in the background. He was programmed by the corporation.
And in Aliens, they try several times to escape and nuke it from orbit, but the aliens just keep screwing them over.
That was some... Well, and then, of course, the later ones. Prometheus was one big, dumb decision.
I did enjoy Prometheus, but there was a lot of really bad decisions in
Let's take our helmets off. And it's funny because somebody actually did a whole video on that, like, online, and they talk about all the dumb decisions that were made in Prometheus.
The one that's the worst one, though, is when they find the alien snake thing.
Oh, God.
And the guy's like, I'm going to touch it.
The dumbest decision of the day.
Yeah.
Black goo and an alien snake. Yeah, it was a host of dumb decisions. That's what makes it fun.
Yeah. I enjoy the world building Prometheus did, but they made a lot of bad decisions. And not a comic review, but I do have one little last bit of comic news. One of my favorite movies in the last couple of years for action was John Wick with Keanu Reeves.
Oh, yeah. There's great things about it.
Beautifully choreographed, great simple story, great performance from Reeves, and the sequel is coming out in February, and I'm really excited. But Dynamite Comics is going to be doing a comic series on John Wick, which takes place after the first movie. And there's a little bit of they're not sure if it's canonical because the second movie is coming out soon, but still, I think it'll be great. And Dynamite Comics is also currently doing the James Bond series, which I'm reading, which they've done a fantastic job on, which lends me great hope for John Wick, because it's a similar genre with big action, exotic locales, and a an awesome lead character. So I'm very excited for the comic series and the second movie, which I think is going to be absolutely great. That's really all I have for comics this week.
I got quick comic news for me is still the online comics. I'm doing Power Nap, which has been very, very slow to update lately, and that's Power Nap. They've gone on for years, so if you have been following Power Nap, you know this, and they've only put a couple new pages out, so I won't do too much with that. But I just want to let you know that I'm still following it. We'll keep an eye on it. And the other one I really like, of course, is Star Power, which is online comic for free too. And Star Power has moved ahead. I did cover a little bit of it on the last podcast 13. And this one has got a little bit more to it. They're pretty good at updating. They update about at least a page or two a week. So if you're looking for a good comic, Danica Maris, who now of course she has the Star Power, and things are beginning to unfold, and it looks like she's going to be flying around the galaxy trying to deal with I don't want to give too much away here. We got since the last time she's the gates are opening up, and she's going to have to deal with whatever. She might have to go through the gates herself, and it's going to be a lot of interesting
stuff. Can't everybody in the universe just get along?
Just get along, yeah.
Always some species trying to exterminate another.
So the Star Power is a little bit of update, a couple pages, but it's coming along. But basically the only reason I wanted to mention is if you're looking for a fun online comic, and I already reviewed most of this up to last time, so there's really not a whole lot to talk about this week. But go to Star Power, or look at we'll have a link. And it's a good little comic, lots of fun, great illustration, really, really nice colors, and really, really interesting story, and no silliness. It's a pretty good story. And I think that's it for me for comics. What are you going into next?
I got some TV and movie stuff. TV-wise, I watched the Doctor Who Christmas special finally.
Yeah. Everywhere.
It was good. I mean,
but not great.
It's weird. I get that they want to try to get Doctor Who bigger in the States, and this episode take place, I think, almost entirely when it's on Earth. Takes place entirely in New York, and it's weird. It's off-putting to listen to Doctor Who, and then all the supporting cast is like American.
Yeah.
It's really weird. I don't know. It shouldn't be, but it is. They did a couple episodes in seasons past set in America, and that's fine. But just to have this entire Christmas special take place in America, it just felt off. And I get it. Like I said, they're trying to make Doctor Who a bigger... It is pretty popular in America anyway.
Yeah.
But they want to really kind of hit it home that Doctor Who is a global thing, not just a British thing. And that's fine. Peter Capaldi is still great as the Doctor. They brought back Matt Lucas from the previous Christmas special, the Husbands of River Song. They brought him back, and he's, I think, a nice little foil for the Doctor to bounce off of. But the thing that really got me excited is at the end of it, they had a preview for season 10 for Doctor Who, and that was really cool. They introduced the new companion and give you kind of snippets for what's going to come.
Okay.
But the Christmas special was good. The alien invasion, of New York. But it was pretty well thought out, and the way they ended it definitely leaves it open for this episode's antagonist to come back in the future. So hopefully season 10 I enjoy more than I did the Christmas special, but it wasn't bad by any stretch of the means. It was just kind of
kind of flat.
It was there.
Yeah, I heard another review on that by someone we know, and they weren't that excited about it, which is disappointing because I've seen a huge run up on this Doctor Who Christmas special, and I actually missed it. And but I'm kind of wondering how it's going to do with that. That Christmas special wasn't the greatest. We're really looking forward to it, but we'll keep an eye on it.
Yeah.
I mean, what else are you watching here too?
Let's see. Anything else from TV, or is the rest of it? I got movies. I think the rest of it's movies because everything else is still on hiatus, like Arrow and all that. So I got some movie stuff though. Assassin's Creed did not do well at the box office.
Yeah, I was not.
It opened up
surprised by that.
4-day holiday weekend. Yeah. I think it only took in $15 million.
Up against Star Wars. How could you possibly?
Possibly
hope
up against Star Wars, but anything they threw up against Star Wars was just going to get absolutely slaughtered.
And let me just throw something in there. Basically, what I'm seeing is the big thing this Christmas is Star Wars and Sing. That's it. The animated Sing, and it's one for the kids, the little babies and the moms, and dads and one for everybody else.
Yeah.
And, everything else is just going to have to stand aside. And why you would ever throw Assassin's Creed up against
Star Wars is beyond me.
Is mind-numbingly
and
stupid.
Here's the thing. It's sad because it just continues the other trend of video game movies just getting slaughtered at the box office.
That's the thing. It might not have had to do that. Is that what you're thinking, too?
And it's weird because it opened on a Wednesday.
Yeah.
It almost like feels like they set this thing up to
only
just
two words
fail.
that come up for me is tax write-off.
Yeah,
That's
maybe.
the only thing we'll put it up again at the end of the year, it'll fail, and then we'll write it off against the taxes when it comes up in the year. Because it just doesn't make any sense.
It just feels like they set it up to fail.
And everybody out there knows that video game to movie is so difficult to do and so rare when it actually
I really
wins.
tried to think of like a genuinely really good, not just passable, but a really good video game adaptation of a movie, and I'm stumped.
I can't. The Lara Croft considered Jolie's thing because it was Jolie.
I mean, yeah, they were
that was years ago.
But that was
years ago. And this thing, you saw it coming. Like, you're kidding me. If I was in the movie and they were saying, "Well, we're going to put you up against Star Wars," I'd go, "Well, forget it. I'm not going to bother even doing promo."
Yeah,
who wants to see it?
The insane thing is they did.
It might not even be a bad movie.
The cast is really A-lister too. You got Marion Cotillard, Michael Fassbender in there. It's not like they just threw in some schlubs to get a movie out there. They got a decent cast in there.
And we're not beating the movie up. I think they just got screwed.
Yeah, I was actually curious to kind of see it, but I don't know. I mean, but I can't even imagine, like, hey, let's put it a week and a half after Rogue One. That won't hurt it.
Yeah, this is where we're really disappointed in the industry on this one because we're kind of like, what the heck? Don't do that because you really would like to see it. But
it would have been one thing if Rogue One came out and was kind of ho-hum, but Rogue One was fantastic.
Yeah. Even if it was ho-hum, I don't think it would have helped.
Yeah, I think it's now up to like $650 million, I think.
It's going to beat the Bond franchise. They said it's so huge that it's actually pulling Star Wars ahead of the Bond franchise.
Which is insane because Star Wars is 8 movies if you count the animated one. And
Bond's like 30 or something.
24.
24, yeah.
Yeah,
I
so
lost count. I don't know.
But yeah, that was dumb. And speaking of Alien, the Alien Covenant trailer.
Yeah, here we go. This is what I wanted.
And I am excited.
Everybody's excited. This thing, it looks bloody and scary.
It looks like Alien with just a dash of Prometheus.
Yeah.
And that's fine.
That's okay.
Like I said, Prometheus happened, whether you liked it or not. You need to at least acknowledge it. And it definitely looks like it's, like I said, there's a little bit of Prometheus influence in there, but it really did feel classic Alien.
And and they're going to use the not just the xenomorph,
but the facehugger.
No, not what's the other morph? I'm suddenly having a mind blank, which I do every time we do one of these. There's the new alien, the new concept alien, the pre-alien.
The Deacon.
Yeah,
that's what they called it.
Another word for it too.
He called it. Ridley Scott called it the Deacon.
It's something.
I forget what you call it. Yeah,
darn.
But yeah, it looks like they're blending it. I remember watching the trailer and you see the egg open up, and I just was like, yes, because that was the one thing I missed in
I think I'll take my helmet off and stick my head in here.
Yeah, he looks over
another
the egg and you're
bad
like,
decision.
Yeah, you're dead.
We're just talking about bad decisions with aliens, and that's another one. When something starts moving,
get the hell away from it. But
although they don't have any hope against the spores. You can see the spores coming, and you're like, oh, you guys are dead.
Which is interesting because the spore went into Michael Fassbender, who is playing an android.
Yeah. So
how is that going to affect him? That'll be interesting. Because he does have basically a circulatory system.
Yeah.
Because he's, modeled after a human being. But will it, alter him in any way is going to be the interesting thing.
This looks really dark, too. Really creepy.
Really good, really dark. And Michael Fassbender's going to be in it twice.
Yeah.
He's playing David from Prometheus.
Yeah.
And Walter, the new android for the crew of the Covenant.
So, it's funny. Everything online everyone is really excited about this movie. There's nobody who's disappointed. And, of course, coming off the Prometheus mess is a big deal. They got to clean the series up quick. And hopefully it'll do well. But the initial reviews of what everybody's been able to see is really high praise and excitement. But don't you think that too that it's going to be interesting to see when they are they going to bring the engineers out at all, or what are they going to do?
Oh yeah, do you catch the scene?
Much. How much?
They caught the pilot chair.
Yeah, but how much are they going to do?
I don't think they'll be in it all that much. I think they'll probably pull a Prometheus where the engineers only really factor in towards the end there.
Yeah. Because there's that, remember from way back in the last summer or spring when they had the picture of all the dead engineers and everybody looks like someone blew up something.
Yeah.
And they're giving a lot away on this, though. There's a lot.
Which is funny because I haven't seen
stuff.
too much. I just watched the trailer.
There's been a lot of pictures, though. A lot of pictures, a lot of indications. It's still you can't put it together yet.
But there's a lot of stuff out there.
Yeah, and a lot of stuff out there, and we're still 6 months out.
May, so 5 months out.
6 months out. Yeah. Although they did this with Rogue One,
and it worked.
I was going in thinking, oh, this is gonna suck because I've seen already like 30 minutes.
And they cut a bunch of scenes that weren't in it.
Cut a bunch. So I loved how they did that.
Yeah.
They put in fake scenes. Well, not fake, but they put in stuff that.
Well, a lot of stuff. Movies do that these days, where they have scenes that you just don't see in the movie. They're only for the trailers.
I'm really glad they did that.
Yeah.
Because Rogue One turned out, of course, we'll get to that in a minute, but Rogue One
Rogue One was fantastic. But yeah, I think Alien Covenant is going to be really good.
It's hot.
And it, like I said, it's got a little bit of Prometheus in there, but it's really classic Alien. There's a scene in the trailer where there's a guy covering someone running down the hall with a pulse rifle, and it's totally. I had a flashback to the scenes where they're like leapfrogging through the hallway with the flamethrower, trying to get to like the pods or whatever, and I'm like, wow, this is gonna be really good.
The girl trapped in the room, too.
Oh, yeah.
You're so bummed.
Like,
his friend won't open the door. Would you open the door? I don't know if I'd open the door.
Oh, no!
I'd be
The button isn't working!
All right, I got to go back and get the key. Hold on, I'll be right back.
Hold on, I'll find the bolt cutter.
6 miles back and get the key. Yeah.
Escape pod, don't worry.
Just try to keep that thing in his back for now. But anyway,
lots of pressure.
If you haven't gotten the gist already, we're pretty excited about Aliens.
Oh, yeah, I'm excited. And the other thing for movies that I have is, now this is interesting, because originally it was very heavily rumored that Ryan Reynolds had filmed a scene for Logan in which he played Deadpool.
Yeah, that one.
And everyone was like, oh man, this is awesome, Deadpool, he said he wanted to do it. And then Ryan Reynolds went on Twitter and said, no, I don't know what you heard, I definitely am not in Logan.
Yeah.
And now there's another rumor after that it's an after credits, basically just for fun kind of deal. Maybe. That Ryan Reynolds is in there.
You can see him doing that.
Yeah, like just a fun, like after the credits kind of Deadpool showing up for whatever.
He did the Les Miserables prisoner reference in the Twitter thing, which is really odd. Like, trying to figure out why he did that. And some clue. I read Les Miserables.
I would definitely not be surprised if he did, like, not in the movie, but like as just a post-credits funny nod to him wanting to do a movie with Hugh Jackman. Because he's been pushing for it ever since Deadpool happened. He wanted to do a Logan Deadpool team up, which I doubt would ever happen because, like Hugh Jackman said, this is it for him as Logan.
No, never say never.
I mean, Sean Connery said the same thing about Bond, and he came back for 2 more.
And if you want to factor in the number of rock bands, we're never going to tour again. This is the end.
How many final tours is Motley Crue about?
Motley Crue, the Who. I saw the Who's. Well, I'm dating myself here, but I saw one of the Who final tours, like the first one.
Oh my God, this is it.
17 tours ago. So they're always doing that. The last tour, we're never going to do this again. How about another $100 million? Okay, we'll do it again. If you twist our arm. So anyway, this is pretty exciting. The Deadpool thing is going to be interesting because it was funny to watch and everybody come out. And as soon as I saw that hit the news, I was like, I'm not going to touch this yet because I got a funny feeling about this. And all the sites jumped on it. And I'm not just criticizing and trying to sound like a smarty pants, but it just seemed like it was a setup. And sure enough, not even 24 hours later, everybody's got to like pull. The rug got yanked out from under him.
But now you got to figure it does create a little bit of a mystique. Is Deadpool going to be in there? Yeah, that's what they want.
That's exactly why they did that. And I'll bet you some of the bigger sites knew it too, and they didn't care. It's clickbait. It's fun.
Yeah,
it's a little bit of fun. It doesn't hurt anybody.
And it was funny because if anybody was still going to be around in the Old Man Logan timeline besides Wolverine, it would be Deadpool.
Deadpool is pretty much infinite himself.
Yeah, healing. He's got the same powers. He's got the same healing factor as Wolverine. Right. So he would still be trucking around on the wastelands of.
And any of the other superheroes who took their vitamins on a regular basis would still be around.
Yeah, no one ever does anymore. That's why they all died. That's what they don't tell you. It wasn't the supervillains that killed them all. Lack of vitamins.
Take your super vitamins. What have we got next in movies?
Really, all I've got last is the 2 bits of Star Wars news: Rogue One and Carrie Fisher.
Of course, Rogue One is what's here's okay. There's so much that's been said about Rogue One, but I'm gonna try to hit it from another direction, which is there's nothing wrong with Rogue One at all.
It really isn't much.
And a lot of these guys are saying, well, there was this and there was that. And I was like, I'm not even going to go there.
But the thing is, if you want to find stuff wrong with it, you really, really have to go and nitpick.
I couldn't find anything wrong with it.
Yeah,
I really couldn't.
There wasn't any big plot holes as to, like, why did this happen or why did that happen?
No. There was nothing wrong with it. I was joking with my group when I went with a bunch of people, and I said, how did C-3PO and R2-D2 actually get on that ship? Because they have to be on the ship at the beginning of Star Wars. And I was kind of kidding about that. It was a little bit of fun. But I had no problem. This movie was solid, and I loved. And I don't mind. We can talk about the whole thing.
Yeah. Spoilers.
If you haven't seen it by now,
what's wrong with you?
It's okay. I mean, but most people have seen it.
Yeah.
And boy, talk about no crawl, which was interesting.
Yeah,
we knew it was coming.
Yeah.
And right into action. I mean, bang, instantly action. You loved it. The scenery was great. The aliens were great. All these planets. They did a lot of different things.
The thing, I gotta say it again, the thing I really liked about this movie is that the Rebel Alliance, which has always been portrayed as this shining white beacon of purity and honor, they were doing some dirty stuff.
Yeah.
They were doing what they had to do to win.
And they say it, too. They say, hey, we had to do what we have to do to keep things going.
He goes, we've been soldiers, spies, assassins.
Yeah, a lot of dirty people in the Rebel Alliance, which I never knew that was the way they were going to build that up. And
I liked it because it makes sense. You can't beat something like the Empire by playing fair.
Yeah.
You gotta do some stuff that isn't exactly friendly.
Probably interesting to see. They could actually take that even farther with people jumping back and forth across from one side to the other, which I think they were kind of indicating that might have happened. I love how they did a lot of little intros for Star Wars. The guys from the cantina.
Yes.
But they bumped into them.
I'm like, hey, you two are gonna wind up on Tatooine the next couple days and get your arms sliced off.
Someone said online the guys who are about to have a bad couple days.
Yeah. Escape. Well, we made it out of the city that explodes. A couple days later, my arm!
Yep. It was great. And, the Mustafar castle was really
cool.
Ooh,
yeah, very good visual.
And that was great. I never knew Darth Vader was in a castle. And apparently that had been brought out in some comic books.
Yeah, they've done a couple. He has the castle. He's got the estate on Coruscant, actually. Yeah. And then he had one other place on another planet. But, yeah, Vader's always had those kind of really dark, gothic-y looking space castles where...
Makes sense. He probably put them on the top of some Sith stronghold from
way
back.
The way I understood for this one is he looks at it as this is where he was really born as Darth Vader on Mustafar. Yeah.
Although they were saying the castle originally was on another planet. It was on a planet with acid rain. I can't think what planet that was.
Oh, they did a shoot.
That was
it was a junk planet originally. Yeah.
Acid rain and mess. But then they said, well, why would we do? I think it was clever to put it on Mustafar as a starter. So we love Rogue One.
That last Darth Vader scene was mind blowing.
That scene.
Yeah.
And that brings us to a thing we were talking about yesterday, which is they have been talking about. Okay, we're gonna kind of segue into this a little bit. The Boba Fett film has rumors now that it's back on again, and they're messing around with it and they're thinking about doing Boba Fett. But we're thinking, let's just go Vader at this point.
I was talking to a friend of mine who saw Rogue One with Luke. Shout out if he ever listens to this. Mm-hmm. And we were talking about after the initial Order 66, Vader spends the next decade hunting down all the Jedi that weren't killed by Order 66. And that would be an insane movie. You'd get a ton of lightsaber fights, a ton of Darth Vader. You could go world to world to world, a ton of universe building for Star Wars.
Right.
And it's a no-brainer.
And there's a book that actually pops up on our site a lot with the ads. It's a Rogue One. I want to say it's like an illustrated guide, but it's an art book more or less with a Rogue One story. And they talk about when Vader is in his castle, and it's where where Jedi go to die. So that he's still hunting Jedi down, and there's still a bunch of Jedi, which would make sense because they would have been all over the galaxy, and they wouldn't have been able to get all of them with Order 66. So a Vader movie would make a lot. And think of who you could bring back. You'd have the Hutts, you'd have stormtroopers or clone troopers, whatever. You switch them over.
You could do both, really. You could watch, because by the time that A New Hope rolls around, Vader's 501st is the only clone unit left because they've all been killed off in the Clone Wars.
Right.
So you could watch the slow transition of the clones fading into just the 501st Vader's Fist Legion.
And he never had an issue with the clone troopers. It seems like they just stuck with him, right? The two of them, Vader and the clones, all just stuck together the whole time, right on through. But think of all the things you could bring in. Bounty hunters, you could bring in the Emperor if you wanted, even if you want to CGI him back in. with the original cast.
No, the Emperor's still alive.
Yeah, but I mean, it's going to be harder and harder.
Yeah,
to
the
do
longer
some
they
of this
go.
stuff because,
But yeah, there's a ton of world building you could do as Darth Vader.
A lot of stuff you could do with Vader. You could go on for 3 whole solid movies with Vader and still not be out of material.
Oh,
if
yeah.
you wanted to have fun with it. So we're excited about Rogue One. What else did you see in there that you really liked?
For Rogue One, I really liked. It was funny. I love the fake out she had where she has the lightsaber crystal around her neck the entire movie.
Yep.
And you're like, ooh, it's got to mean something, lightsaber crystal, and then nope,
lightsaber
it was just there, and that's great. Because it's nice to have those moments where you're so sure, you're like, that's gonna happen, and then nope, just nothing. I'm trying to think what else I caught in there.
It was nice that they kept the one lightsaber to Vader.
Yes.
No new Jedi.
I did love at the last fight scene there when all the X-Wing squadrons are fighting, and the red team calls off the call signs, and there's red 5.
Yep.
And I'm like, you're dead. Because Luke is Red 5 in A New Hope. So sooner they got to kill that guy. And sure enough, they did a little mini scene where Red 5's like, help me! And dies.
Kaboom, yeah.
And I'm like, there we go.
Red
Luke.
5. That's funny.
Yeah.
They were saying there's a lot of little things in those movies that you got to look for. But a lot of fun.
It was actually interesting because I was watching that same X-Wing fighter scene and the red and gold leader when they had them pop up on screen. I'm like, wow. That really looks like that's just footage out of A New Hope.
It did look like,
and it was
straight out. Yeah,
it was archival footage they didn't use. From
that's
A New
what
Hope.
I was thinking too, and it was so well done. You think, gee, this is like being in Star Wars.
Yeah,
again.
and it was great. It was beautifully done.
So I had no problem. I don't know if anybody is picking that movie apart. You're bored because if you're wrong, I'm going to stand my ground on this one. There's nothing wrong with that movie. It is solid from end to end.
And it finally explains the biggest thing of all. Why did the Death Star have that stupid thing in it that blew up?
I thought it was the greatest idea in the world. Take a simple thing that everybody kind of scratched their heads like, why would you stick an exhaust port, exhaust port that would wipe out the whole thing? Well, because it was built in. So great.
Because he wanted to kill them all.
Yes. So anything else you can think about Rogue One you liked? Just wait. Now we're just waiting on episode
8. Yeah.
Well, that brings us to Carrie Fisher.
Yeah.
Wow. What a surprise.
Yeah.
Darn. And not their mother too. Good Lord.
It's, for anyone who is living under a rock and hasn't heard, Carrie Fisher sadly did pass away yesterday or day before.
Day before. Maybe the day before that. It's been a blur.
And it's a bummer for, well, obviously her family and her friends, but for all the Star Wars fans out there because she was just getting back into the franchise. Yeah. And they had wrapped filming episode 8, so all of her scenes are done for episode 8.
So we're told.
So we're told.
Yeah.
Which I believe because they wrapped episode 8 months ago, so I believe that at least. But now the big question is, what are they going to do for episode 9?
Yeah, and you can see they wouldn't have filmed her yet for episode 9.
No, not yet.
Nobody saw this coming.
Yeah.
And oops.
I made a joke. Now they can just have Kylo Ren off both his parents.
Yeah, well, that's what they're going to have to do. They're going to have to... Or, worst case scenario, they could maybe get somebody in there as her. Tough. I don't know what the story. We don't know what the storyline is.
Yeah, I think that would be weird.
We don't know what the storyline
is. There's plenty of ways they can write her out if they really have to, but it's just it's a bummer.
I don't think it's gonna be that difficult to write her out, or at least change the story enough where she
doesn't factor in as much.
She doesn't show up, or somebody else takes over what she was going to do.
She can relay messages.
But it's a darn shame because we really liked her, and you love seeing the original cast.
Oh god, yeah. When her and Harrison Ford get face to face together for the first time again, you're like, oh man.
Yeah. And what do they do to us with Ford? So he's gone. Yeah. She's gone. And so
poor Chewbacca, he's just losing buddies.
Well, we're getting there, that's the thing. And Kenny Baker's gone, but of course they've got somebody else in the R2D2 the unit. But
Anthony Daniels still going though.
What a darn shame. We're losing people all over the place. But look what they did with it. Again, I don't think they're going to CGI her. I don't think they will. They did it, had a little fun with it in Rogue One, but
that was just making her look young again. Yeah. If I had to nitpick one thing, the CGI in her face in Rogue One was a little weird.
I didn't mind.
It was weird in the sense that it looked almost like a really thin latex mask over somebody else's face.
I didn't even mind. It didn't bother me.
It didn't bother me, but it was kind of like, ugh,
I could see
for a minute.
If you sat there and looked at it for a long time, you'd be able to see through it. But still, I was impressed.
I thought it was a fantastic scene to end on, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I really had no problem. But it's a darn shame. Now she's gone. We'll see what happens. I think I have confidence because we were waiting to see how they do with Rogue One. We already knew they were good with
Force Awakens.
Force Awakens was so huge, and Rogue One is so good, and so we're confident.
Yeah, Disney has so far been 2 for 2 for good Star Wars movies,
which is big. It's a big deal, and that makes us very happy again.
Yeah.
So any other?
I do have one thing I forgot to mention last time. Board game.
Board games.
I have a board game that I forgot to mention. I played Castle Panic with Scott, and it's interesting because this one, unlike the other game,
Castle Panic. Right?
Castle Panic. Yep. And Scott said this one would be interesting because unlike a lot of board games out there, this one is actually cooperative. It's up to 4 players, I believe, and you basically work together to defend your castle against the horde of orcs and goblins and trolls and whatever else is coming at you. And it's very interesting. There's 4 sections to the board: red, green, blue, or is it 3? Yeah, red, just red, green, and blue. And orcs and monsters and stuff pops up at each of the outside rings and slowly advance on your castle, and you have to work together as a team to kill them off before they get into the castle and kill all you.
That's kind of cool.
And it's very interesting. It's really cool to kind of have to work together with another player to keep. We did successfully defend the castle barely the first time we played through, but it's nice to actually have a game where your objective isn't to just crush the other guy. You have to really work together and plan out strategies.
That is interesting.
Yeah,
it's a different way of looking at it, like D&D almost.
Yeah. So I enjoyed Castle Panic a lot. I don't know if there's any expansions or anything for it. I don't think there is, but like I said, I've only played it one time. But it was a lot of fun.
We'll put a link up for it. I also put a link up to. I've been promising I'd do this. I'd mentioned it way back, some podcast back. The Crows board game, CROWS, Crows. Very simple. I put a big a bunch of pictures up, big layout, and brought the thing out, took photos from all different angles. I had a lot of fun with it. It's a simple little board game where you're trying to get your crows. The crows they're trying to get to a point from A to B, but they keep getting distracted by shiny objects. So you're up against someone else, but it can get really complicated too, and it can be almost like a little chess game back and forth with 2 to 4 players. A lot of fun. I'll have a link up for that. So it's a simple game if you like, and of course it's always better if you have pizza, beer, and cigars while you're doing this. But you got your board game. We got a lot of board games coming up. We bought some stuff. We got some stuff for Christmas, and we'll be previewing those. Have you got anything after board games?
I think that is actually it.
I got one more movie.
Sure.
One or 2 more small items I just want to throw out really quick. Is a movie I saw. I got Pitchfork.
The
horror movie Pitchfork. And we're kind of giggling because Pitchfork, it's a horror movie, and it's about what you think it is. Like a guy, he has a pitchfork arm, a rusty pitchfork, and he's a psycho
it's his
guy.
arm?
I think it's his arm.
Oh my god.
And it's fun. He's got this thing built into his arm. And I never did notice if he had a hand or not. I don't think he does. And he's got this crazy animal mask that he wears, and he runs around. And it's just, if you like, it's a simple budget horror movie, and I got to thank the October Coast people and whatnot for sending me this, because it's fun, and I was watching it. It's nothing that's gonna it's not new ground we're breaking here, but it's a lot of fun. And the Pitchfork guy, if this hits the audience just right and is marketed well, you could see him kind of doing a bunch more movies. It's that typical Friday the 13th.
Bunch of stupid kids wander into a
bunch of stupid kids right off the top. The stupid kids. Oh, I lost something. And they go farther and farther down into the dark. In this one, it's the barn.
Billy,
it takes place,
is that you?
Yeah, exactly. She's chasing her dog in the opening thing, and I don't mind giving away a little bit here. And the dog vanishes, and she sticks her head down some big hole in a barn, and first thing she's off in a really nasty way. But it's one of those where like Pitchfork can he's got that ability to he's chasing
teleport,
and then he gets one of the girls and he's killing her, or one of the guys, and he's stabbing her to death with a pitchfork, and then 700 yards later they're still running. All of a sudden he's in front of them, like, oh no, and it's just like what Jason and Freddy used to do, and it's fun if you're into that kind of horror. It's like, I think whoever did this, and I can't think of the name. I do apologize to the director of this. I haven't got it in front of me right now, but the Pitchfork people when they put this together, you could see that they were kind of thinking 80s. I think they were.
It sounds like something
young
right out of the
kids.
80s.
It takes place on a farm, another creepy farm. Anytime you got corn, more creepy farm.
He who walks behind the rose.
They do the classic where they're in the car and something happens, and they get out of each side, and then Pitchfork chases them through the car, and they run into the woods. And they're like, oh, God, this is hysterical. So they see Pitchfork, they jump out of the car. They're going out one door, he's coming in the other, and there's this kind of almost comical scene where they're climbing over the driver and passenger seat after each other. And then they go out the back, and somehow Pitchfork falls back 150 yards, and they run into the woods, and then they split up, and then he nails them one by one.
Because splitting up always works.
Oh my God, it's absolutely hysterical. So if you want a fun movie, and I don't know if it's how fast it's gonna be on VOD or DVD or theater or whatever. I'll have the link up so you can see. But Pitchfork's a lot of fun. It's fun horror. It's people getting off in silly ways, and it's just don't go in expecting anything more than it's a good time. It's a good time horror flick. So I rate Pitchfork highly. I think it was fun, not just sentiment, but it's just fun if you like that kind of horror. And here's where I'm gonna get beat up a little bit. I did look at my anime, which was unfortunately I didn't like, and it was oh boy, I'm gonna catch hell for this.
Attack on Titan.
Attack on Titan.
I did not also enjoy Attack on Titan.
I got into 2 episodes, and it was grisly. It was It was horror. I thought it was horror anime, and I was like, oh, this is really grisly. But I didn't feel there was anything compelling me to keep going. I was like, you have these giant things, and they're
it's funny because I think when Attack on Titan is doing action scenes like fighting the Titans, it's really good. But it just gets bogged down in the minutia of the human characters who, if they were interesting, would be one thing. But I never really found them all that compelling.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I didn't either. I was like, okay, so his mom got munched, and he's kind of running around, and he's
wants to kill the Titans,
and they're all like, and they're always yelling at each other. Like, okay, and I just, and I know it's huge. I know there's another season coming out. Everybody says they can explain the Titans and more interaction and all that, but I just didn't. I wasn't really moved on this one, so that was just me.
That's
if you like anime, it's one of the hottest animes out right now. And the other one I'm going to catch hell for is oh gosh, where are we on Sword Art Online?
That one is I've heard good things, but I haven't watched it yet.
It's basically people who get drawn into a live action game, and they get trapped in it. Sword Art Online, and they now have to fight their way out of the game or die. And so it's basically a whole mess of people who accidentally get trapped in this game, and the creator's a psycho, and he's going to see if anybody can actually get out of this game, and they got to go up levels, actually all the way to the top. If I remember correctly, I watched a couple episodes of this too, and I was like, okay, and I didn't feel that. I wasn't that into it. It's like a lot of the characters seemed like they were going to be idiots, and they were already splitting up, 1 or 2 episodes in, and I was like, you guys got to work together, and I don't know, I wasn't. Sword Art is huge, but wasn't for me. And I as you know, I've had some anime here I've reviewed and loved it. I'm waiting for One Punch Man to come back and some other things. So
that'd be fun. I'm waiting for that English dub of Dragon Ball Super so I can finally get in on that.
That's gonna be hot. And the last thing I got for me is music. We've been covering a ton of metal.
It's not going to be George Michael?
No, not George Michael. Not this time. It unfortunately doesn't qualify as sci-fi, fantasy, or horror unless you look at The Way He Lived His Life, which was a horror show. Good Lord.
You got to have faith.
You got to have faith. Good Lord. Oh, my God. Anyway, we're going to get off this topic. So if you're into a lot of really heavy stuff, and we've been putting up the videos. We've had, here's a list of some of the bands we've been putting up just for fun. We've had Enciferum, Entombed, Cattle Decap, if you know Cattle Decap fans, Cattle Decapitation, Between the Buried and Me, The Deer Hunter, Gorguts, and Devil Driver. And we got a bunch more coming.
I think these people need to cheer up some.
Maybe a hug, a group hug or something.
Go have some ice cream, calm down.
Maybe play some Pokemon Go.
Right?
Anything, but it's kind of funny. We've been covering
decapitating cows, come on.
It's fun. And it's great workout material. I'll tell you that. You can really do another 150 push-ups. So that's about all. We've been covering a lot of those bands, and we'll have links to a couple of them maybe up here. And otherwise, just take a look at the site, because there's one every single day. I don't think I'm going to put links to every single band up. So that was it for now. I don't think we're going to cover anything else. We've got coming up, of course, the big news coming up is Logan.
Oh my god, I cannot get here fast enough.
Still a ways out, but they're starting
March.
to drop more and more pictures.
Yeah.
So
I think it's early March, though. I think it's March 3rd.
Yeah, the trailer comes out in about short.
Another one?
Yeah, the big trailer. I've heard rumors about a trailer coming out soon. So we'll be along there shortly with Logan. And then what have we got? Oh, I'm not hearing good things about. I did not see that Jennifer Lawrence.
Oh, Passengers.
Passengers. I'm not hearing great stuff.
I also have heard not good things, and I knew I wasn't that interested in it anyway. So I read up basically on the plot, and I looked at all the reviews, and I kind of pieced it together.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem like it was that good a movie.
Okay. Well, let's give away some stuff here because if you haven't seen
spoiler alert.
Yeah, you're not gonna by now. And it again is another movie they put up against Star Wars. And like, what the heck were you thinking? Why would you ever do such a thing? But
basically, they're on a ship going to another planet. Yeah. Supposed to get there in 120 years. An asteroid hits the ship. Chris Pratt wakes up because his pod malfunctions. Yeah. And initially, he's on the ship alone, kind of wandering around, and he sees Jennifer Lawrence, and this is where we get into some creepy stuff here.
Yeah, and this is where I lost it for the whole movie.
Yeah, he watches all of her video logs,
creepy,
and books, and
I mean, you can see him doing that if you're alone.
Yeah,
but then we go to uber creepy,
and then he wakes her up.
Yeah,
and then he and this is always a good idea. He lies and tells her ship malfunctioned. We both woke up.
Yeah,
and
so you lose
and then the whole movie is just looming over your head. Like, okay, she's obviously at some point gonna find out.
She's gonna find out,
and then.
Thanks for waking me up so I could be like your companion in space now.
It's basically a giant movie about Stockholm syndrome.
Yeah, it's Stockholm syndrome, and I'm a companion. Thanks for giving me a death sentence by waking me up. So I don't really understand where they were going to go with this. Someone described it as a romance in space, and I was like, oh,
it's more like a hostage situation in space.
Yeah, and I can think of off the top of my head a whole bunch of horror movies that were very similar to this.
Pandorum. Pandorum starts the exact same way. Yeah. Ship malfunctions.
I like you, and I'm going to put you in my. You can't get away because you're on the ship with me. Like, oh.
Your only other option would be to kill me or kill yourself.
Yeah, wake up some other people.
Right.
I just did not get the vibe on this thing at all.
He really comes off as like borderline lunatic.
Yeah, I mean, wouldn't you be ticked off if this happened? So anyway, that was our feeling with this one, and I think some of the people who saw it were thinking not many people saw it because of course it went up against Star Wars, and they're not just beating up the movie for the sake of beating it up, but it was just an odd way of doing a story. I can see if you had woken her up by accident, that would have been really interesting. But why would you put that in with now you're my toy because I woke you up and now you're stuck with me? Like, oh God, creepy.
Yeah.
And what was the other one we were saying that didn't shoot? There was something
Assassin's Creed.
No, Assassin's Creed, Passengers. Oh, The Arrival seems to be still hot, and
really?
I really want to see that. I'm going to try to go see that and see how it's going.
Okay.
It's still getting good reviews, and but that's it for now. We better cut it short, and we'll have more stuff. We got a whole bunch of things coming. We got more board games, more music, a lot more heavy music, and a lot more comics, and of course I think everything's going to move to Logan now for the next couple months. So anyway, we'll see you for podcast 14 here in Keep the Geek. Have a great week.
See you guys.